Are you ready to unleash the majesty of your soul? I know that's a little deep, but you'll get it as you watch through on this episode of Rock Your Life TV. Hi, I'm Paula D'Andrea. I'm the host and founder of Rock Your Life TV. And before we begin this sojourn, I'd like you to remind you that you can also unleash your majesty in another way by when you finish watching the show, head on over to pauladandrea.com/RYLTV, pick up a free gift, and get on the list so you don't miss any of the people who rock, like my guest today, Simone Peer. This episode is actually an invitation to unleash the majesty of your soul, to dare to peek behind your own curtain and discover what lies beneath the call of your soul, to learn some tried and true methods of making it through the dark nights that test your soul. You know, those tests of faith and also the withdrawal symptoms of all of those bittersweet things in life that, you know, aren't really serving you and you need to let go, but you haven't been able to let go yet. So this is really about one woman's journey of surrendering, of what she thought she knew and or wanted, and to turn into her faith and be guided. And I'm so happy to welcome Simone Peer today, because she really has surrendered her home, her security, gone all out, and gotten a whole lot more than she ever imagined or bargained for. Simone is a woman who is on a mission to own her worth, and in the process she wants to serve by faith and ultimately to end human suffering. So by her own admission, she's certified out the wazoo, and she is a published author, a genetic entrepreneur, and a catalyst for over 1,000 lives and businesses transformed. So it is my absolute pleasure for you to get to know and to meet Simone Peer. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Paula.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to have you here, because I think it's kind of like, right now, just even, being with you and knowing like this sojourn that you've been on, I'm almost ready to break into I've been everywhere, man. Johnny Cash is just going to kind of like, come right up on us. And, right, because I kind of feel like that gypsy life kind of that you've had and this sojourn that you're on is that, there's a flavor of that song. You've seen every dusty road and been just about everywhere. So tell us a little bit about that, Simone.
Well, what really cracks me up, Paula, is that I often think in sound bites of music as well. So I might bust out with something too along the way, but
feel free. It's that kind of show, and I have had it happen a few times. But it's kind of like it is that not that my singing is an all-time high, but I do really get the energy of that, and not only there's a wisdom that goes with it as well. It's like really having walked in other people's shoes. Of experiencing life, of sharing life, and just really celebrating life. So you fit so well into the Rock Your Life vibe. And I just want to, can't wait to hear how you started this sojourn of yours, and what was it that really maybe kind of flipped your switch, so to speak, to say, hey, I got to get up and get the heck out of here, man. I got to hit the road.
So I'm a coach, and I'm a professionally certified coach and mentor coach and all of those good professional things. And I started doing energetic trainings around coaching and leadership, and as well as in-person retreat workshop experiences around the world. And one of the things that occurred, I came back from a trip to leading a group to Mexico, and I lived in Chicago, and it was just freaking freezing. I'm talking like the frost invaded the house. It was on the transom, the frame, the baseboard, the mail slot, everything, and all I thought was, oh my gosh, it's invasion of the heat snatchers. What is going on? And it seems kind of like, what does this have to do with anything? But what it did was it was sort of the catalyst that awakened something inside of me, where I started getting invitations from people. Oh, well, come here, come to Arizona, come to Florida, come to this place, come to these warm places, and stay a while. And some people said, my limit is a week. I can handle a house guest for a week. And others said, come and stay as long as you like. You can stay up to a year, whatever.
Oh, wow,
And
that's it. That's a long time to. I think I'm a, well, for certain people it would be an extended, but you know, definitely I think I could open my home for about a week, and then it would have to go from there. Just kind of like see what's happening.
yeah. And what that actually awakened in me was that I realized I could put my things in storage, I could accept all of the invitations, and I could just flit around the country and visit people. But what I knew was actually my soul was speaking to me in a way, and it said, you really must take this journey. You must step into essentially what was voluntary homelessness and just hone your purpose and cultivate more intimate relationships with people that matter. And what I really discovered about the intimacy was I ended up being in a lot of situations where maybe if I had felt like I was in more control, I would have hightailed it out of there quicker, faster, or in a hurry. I mean, sometimes I was on an island where you had to take a ferry, and I didn't have wheels. You know, like I'd ridden over with someone. I was like, oh,
talk about being stuck in a place.
Exactly. And what I realized was that the intimacy I was really confronting was my self, the comfort in my own skin. And so it's just now
so
it's
really
been
took yourself out of like your known environment so that you could experience that.
yes.
Yeah.
And this has
and that's
been
a lot of times what it takes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's been nearly 5 years. Come spring, it will be 5 full years that I have been this nomadic gypsy sojourner who has settled in some places longer than others. And sometimes, you know, people have asked, like, what, are you running away from something? And I've asked myself that, and I realized I've actually had to confront more things. Because if I had my own space and place that I called home, I could run away from.
Sure, you hit that level of complacency.
Yeah, I could go home and shut the door, and that would be it. And so this has really been this amazing opportunity to actually, I think, enter into the realm of my soul and to really discover what faith is and to really surrender where I think I'm in control. And let me tell you, me and God have had some knockdown, drag outs.
I'm kind of getting that. You know, I'm hearing this quote, walk by faith, not by sight, coming up, and I like a couple of things that you're bringing up, and I just want to kind of like throw it in the mix. One is totally uprooting yourself and pulling yourself out of an environment that you know, and just, you know, allowing yourself to be kind of a free fall so that you can discover more about you. It's kind of like, you know, they do it in the walkabouts. You know, it's how I ended up in Los Angeles. I just, you know, came out for a week and then just was like, what would it be like to live here? And just the only way you're going to find out is to throw yourself into the mix. So it works for some people, and it, you know, not so well for others. There's definitely something that needs to be innately in you. But right now, before we go into the next phase, 3 quick things that really helped you to make that leap, because it is a leap. It's you know, it is a leap of faith, and it's like, you know, not really knowing how things are going to work out, getting rid of all your stuff, and just setting out to really connect with yourself. So what are a couple of things that you can think of to somebody, if they aren't even going to take that step, that they are going to stay in their home environment, a couple of things that they can do to kind of like take themselves out of the environment without removing themselves completely and beginning, you know, their own sojourn?
Yeah, you know, What I would say is probably for me where it all started, and this was years before I even hit the road, was this concept of if it ain't fun and it ain't easy, it ain't for me. And I'm from Missouri originally, so we do have a little bit of, southern things there. But what I realized in that saying was it wasn't just about, hey, woo, hedonistic lifestyle, just throw it all to the wind and have fun, but that it was kind of a temperature check to look at what's for me, what's not for me, what time zone am I living in the past, the present, or the future. And I also kind of looked at it as if I could feel my panties twisting in a wad, something wasn't right. So it's like when I could just feel that twist, I knew I wasn't having fun. And what it required me to do was to just sort of untwist and untangle and come back into that moment and really evaluate, is this whatever I'm thinking, doing, or engaging true, right, and for now? And that, I think, was really one of the most powerful checklist, I don't even know what to call it, temperature check, barometer, something that I can apply anywhere, anytime, to anything to really determine, am I in the flow with the movement of my soul versus
that's perfect.
anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's I love the what time zone am I in, and that's a good check-in for people. Even if they're while they're going through their day-to-day type of thing, and again to just pack up and leave, as I've done, as you've done, isn't for everybody, and no big deal. However, it is a great idea to check yourself out every now and again to see what you're rocking out. As Simone puts it, what time zone that you're in, and kind of give yourself your own reality check, to say, am I resisting anything? Is there anything I can maybe change up a little bit to, to enrich my life a little bit more, connect a little bit more on a personal level, on a social level, intellectual level, physical level, any of those type of things that would just bring you into more of who you are and be able to tap into that soul a little bit deeper.
And Paul, I think an element that applies there too is one of the things that I was able to learn and discern is that sometimes things require a prerequisite. Just like in school you had to take pre-algebra before you were eligible for algebra. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes there's a little something that either we need to become aware of, we need to shift, or it just needs to get into place in order for it to be true right now. And that, for me, is also a really important reminder, because I think what it helps me do is not force things, but actually cultivate patience and mm-hmm. also really fortify that trust and faith. That, I think another thing for me is I've really come to understand is God knows more of what I need than I do. So I might think I need X, Y, and Z to be safe and comfortable, but what I realize is that, as for me, I have made a commitment of service, and I've really surrendered it and acknowledged I'm here to serve in a way I may not always understand, and in ways that I recognize that I have some gifts and strengths and talents and can offer and use those. But beyond that, I feel like I really don't always know what's right for me. And so it really makes me live in this time zone, present now.
So it's the awareness level that you step into. And, there was, I love the way that, when you sent out some information to you, it's living life as a paid vacation, to gypsy travel around. And then there was also something about, I think, about the way that you communicate with your clients that I thought was really interesting, and what you do to awaken in them that I think that viewers watching this now would really benefit from. And it went something like, you help men and women to be more feminine and masculine, to be truly in love, to truly love. There's a way that you engage to help them be aware. So if you could, talk a little bit more about that, I would really appreciate it, because I think a lot of people would benefit from that point of view.
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorite things too.
Okay.
Oh, it's something that many years ago one of my coaches enlightened or awakened me into, in terms of really understanding the nature of masculine and feminine essence within us. And if you think about the yin-yang symbol, I'm trying to see the camera. I can see my hands. It fits in there, and there's the black one and the white one, and there's a little dot of the opposite color in each. And to me, what that really signifies is that for intimate relationship, we are primarily one or the other, masculine or feminine, and each one of us has the other in us, because we have to have some level of balance that allows us to function in all areas of our lives. But in terms of an intimate relationship, we have a primary nature, and it is either feminine or it is masculine. And so whether a person would be single, in a lesbian or homosexual relationship, or heterosexual relationships, married, partnered, whatever, none of that matters to me, other than who they are and what their natural essence is. And so now I'll just kind of speak to men as masculine, women as feminine, just to keep he, she's easy.
Right.
So in that sense, what I really do is I help men really engage with what it is to be masculine within an intimate relationship, and women how to really be feminine within an intimate relationship, so that is the primary essence, that they can create that dynamic polarity that really keeps them together with passion and ease. Mm-hmm. And then also recognizing that as the relationship evolves in a healthy way, where they can sort of maneuver or migrate into that other essence and be whole together. And yeah, it sounds like you have a question or comment.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And what are some of, because I'm totally blanking on the, you had a couple of other ways that you worded it too. So when you do work with, let's say for instance, when you're working privately with somebody, what are some of the other areas that you delve into with people?
I think a really big part of it is helping them own their operating system. So, for example, there's so many fantastic motivational speakers and self-help professionals out there that may talk about goals set in this way, and get your vision, get your goal, track your time in 15-minute increments, and there's some just real on it things. And what I find is that is not everybody's operating system. And what makes me crazy about it is, maybe for myself, is that is not the way that I operate. It is not the way that I am in flow. And it's not the way in which I maximize the contribution of my potential. And so I find that a lot of my clients are that way. And what I help them do is find out, how do you operate, and give them permission to let go of these external guides and standards, so they don't feel like such losers or incompetents, but actually really embrace who they are and how they are, and bring that to life in a way that is fun and easy and magical for them. And I don't want to minimize this and say, oh, it's all unicorns and rainbows, Because this
Please
is...
don't. Because that's, I was just having this conversation earlier. It really is not, and I think that's the thing that it's a strong point to make, because there's people watching and they go, it's life is happening. It's happening every second of every day, and trust me, I've been through the levels of where somebody got sick, somebody died, and somebody had a baby all in one day. Because that is exactly what's happening. What your reality is could be something different from what somebody else is experiencing. What we're saying, I believe, I can speak with you too, Simone, is that really it's about when you answer that call that's in your soul. The more that you step into you, the more, as I say, rock yourself out, is that you know more of who you are, and you take that with you wherever you go, whether you're in Kalamazoo or you're, now settled into a place in Key West, is that as you show up with who you are, then that strengthens your operating system. And I would venture to say that with your sojourn and the all the travels that you and experiences you've had in the last 5 years, Simone, that there's some tweaks that you've made in your operating system, and there are some new ways of functioning in an operating system, and in ways that you approach people. Does that come close to being true, or how have you found that you've strengthened yourself, or maybe just set something altogether new in place?
I think, well, yes, absolutely right. You are.
Thanks for catching up on that one. You can put your own spin on it now. So tell me, I kind of laid that out for you. Just what it means for you to click, because there has to be something that I mean, let's face it. When you take yourself out of an environment that you've known for a really long time, and you just allow yourself to expand, because that is what you're doing. Several things are happening. Is that you've answered that call that had you get more in touch with your soul, and you woke yourself up a little bit more, and you allowed yourself to flow into that expansion. So either way you look at it, there's growth on different levels, whether it's strengthened parts of your operating system or allowed another level of it to open up. And that is what life is about. Isn't that the evolution? Isn't that, as we have these ahas and breakthroughs and just step into more of who you are, isn't that the desired state?
I'm going to say yes, ma'am.
More, please.
Yeah. And to that, here's what is Janis Joplin in my head. Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble. And I'm just thinking that for me, I actually think that humble and humility as these actual words of power and grace, and very different from humiliation, but these states of grace are, I'm going to say, they're my goals. It's like that. Those are the things that I really devote time or attention and prayer and awareness to on a regular basis, because I think some of what I really had to do to get comfortable in my own skin, to deal with all of the unknowns and the uncertainties, and I mean, just crazy making times and spaces and deep dark nights of my soul, has been one of my phrases that had become, how do I turn the pedestal into power? And I realized that were times where I would put other people on a pedestal, and there I was lowly, but please see me as worthy of loving or something, wanting. And then there's times where, well, here I am on my pedestal, wise woman, hear me roar. And, really, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to feel like they're minions below me. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure,
And
and again, it brings us back into connection. I mean, I think that is the strongest aspect of self-love, and out of anything that you can do, it's very empowering to, first of all, have the strong connection for yourself, to really, just kind of rock yourself out, and then be able to share that with other people. So, that doesn't involve anybody. Idolizing anybody, or putting anybody. It's great to have. You want mutual respect more than anything, and I think that when you do kind of like get on that high horse, that there is humility that steps in to kind of put you in your place at one point or another.
indeed, and I recognized along the way how fiercely, oh my gosh, fiercely, I defended those bricks in the wall. And I was really fortunate to go see last summer Roger Waters touring, doing Pink Floyd's The Wall. And I'm telling you, the whole time I just cried. I was amazed. I was so moved and touched. And on stage, they built this wall in the first half, and then there was an intermission, and he broke it down as as it would kind of go through the double album, right? And
Well, it's very symbolic, but
yeah.
also very, very true. I mean, you hear this when you're your angst teenage years of, you've got this wall up, and another brick in the wall. When you really do listen to, which I actually heard one of his songs the other day. I mean, the poignancy that is there, and it's interesting to take it in at another stage of life. As opposed to the first introduction, which was years ago, for me, anyways, and do that. So I think you're onto something too. I actually posted a picture earlier that was bricks, and it said, "Find the joy, seek the joy in being alive." And everybody's got those kind of bricks, and it is actually sometimes very useful to be symbolic and to be ritualistic, and to have these little things that we do to kind of cement some of those ideas, and tear down others.
Indeed. And I think that's, a big part of it, that in terms of what the journey is, I myself had to look at which bricks am I fiercely defending. I mean, I would just chop your head off if you tried to pull that brick out of my wall, or even chink out just a little bit of cement or mortar from it. And as I started to examine and look at, well, what is that brick even, or what's behind it, some of what I found so I would say my ability to unleash my majesty was through all kinds of healing modality work. I could see the bricks coming out, and the wood and the framing and all these things coming down, but essentially it really just came down to, it was almost just this gossamer film, or even a smoke screen that was there. It wasn't even glass anymore separating me, and I actually had to make some choices of, it's okay for me to be out here. It's okay for you to come in. And these, I think, were really interesting moments along the way. And actually it kind of makes me think of something that I sort of figured out as this a little formula for myself, is the more faith I have, I realized the more capable of being vulnerable that I was, and the more vulnerable that I was, then the more intimacy that I experienced, and the more intimate that I was able to be with myself and others. Then it just was this cycle of greater faith, more vulnerability, deeper intimacy, greater faith, and it, just kind of really flowed. And I think that ultimately is what really put me into this place where I, in so many ways, really have given up control and just completely have lived and traveled on faith. And to me now, in some ways, it's just what I do. And sometimes I have conversations with people, and it's the freakiest, scariest thing they could ever imagine. And I think there may be a distinction, because not everybody's supposed to be a gypsy traveler, as I've been. But in terms of what are the other things, though, that they're really asking themselves to step into or out of within their own life is,
I love that.
where they can start to look at faith, vulnerability, intimacy. And where am I really asking to have greater faith? Where is there a real power in being voluntarily vulnerable? And in that vulnerability, how does it just, to me, it's like liquid black velvet. I just can't even think of anything that would just be so creamy and yummy. I just, that the image that I have, it just brings this feeling over of, oh, just being washed in luxuriating in what the real joy of true intimacy is, and how nourishing and feeding it is. But it just seems like a weird word, but it's like I'm just so nourished and fed by it, and then I become this wellspring to want to and to have to give out more. I don't have to hold on to any of my love or my stuff for myself. There's been times on this journey, a couple of times, where I've literally given away all of my money to people that I know and love that had a moment of crisis and needed it. I thought more than I did. Sometimes it was in a dream. I woke up with a dream like, oh my gosh, I need to call them, they need my money. And then there I was, basically penniless, because I just realized, I know I'm okay, but right now they don't feel so okay, or they can really use this to, whatever, get them through tomorrow. And that, to me, I think has been like a reminder of the testament of, no matter how hard it seems, no matter how dark I get, no matter how scared I might be, to just come back to that point of faith, and the moments where sometimes I just, metaphorically drop down on my knees in a vulnerability, a surrender into whatever this greater destined plan is for me, and to partner with that in a way that says, yes, I can, yes, I will, no matter what.
Awesome.
To me,
I love that, Simone.
that is unleashing your Majesty.
I love you. So, thank you so much for sharing that, for sharing your journey, because, like you said, not everyone is cut out for it, but only it takes one person to experience it, to then share that experience and relay that experience. And the last couple of minutes that you've been speaking, I think that the energy of your experience and the way that you just brought it home was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have asked anything better in closing us out, other than just maybe one final phrase. I think that I love that you summed up in 3 words: faith, vulnerability, and intimacy, and all the references that you've thrown out. But just one more nugget for everybody. I like to call it rockspiration. So please finish us up with that.
Okay. I would say it's been the evolution of my prayer. And at first it began, I am love, I am light, I am ready. Guide me, show me, tell me. And I felt like for me that was kind of my plea of, just help me figure this out. And then it shifted into, grant me the awareness to recognize the guidance and the courage to act upon it. Because we get it all the time. And very often I found I didn't want it. I didn't want to have to be responsible for what I was asking for. But every single time, not even most of the time, but every single time that I actually do act upon it, I am so much better in just the entirety of everything. And so I think that may be it. A lot of people make prayers, whatever that means, whatever your experience with your higher power, God is, we all define it for ourselves. But to just know that it is there and that you have the capacity to recognize it, and within you is the strength to act upon it. And the rewards, they're speechless. I really don't have the words to
Fantastic.
describe.
I think that the energy that you're conveying totally just, we get it, because I'll tell you, after speaking with you in this segment, I feel definitely an opening in my heart, and a little. I traveled a little bit with you in the telling of your journey, and here's something calling in my soul. So thank you very much for opening that for me, as I hope that Simone Peer of UnleashYourMajesty.com has done for you as well. I thank you very much for watching and listening and being with us in this very intimate and vulnerable and definitely honest segment of Rock Your Life TV. And I would encourage you to head over to pauladandrea.com/RYLTV, pick up a gift for you, and also stay in tune for more people who rock. I'm Paula D'Andrea for Rock Your Life TV. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.